Let's just say Bruce is the guy here at
lead HVAC tech,
Platsky,
yes,
not
and
Marplat.
trainer, yeah. Lead, there's no more Marplat, so we're now Platsky HVAC
Right.
is our HVAC division, right? As a manufacturer's rep, we rep over 50 products.
Right.
But again, I concentrate mostly, and we do have people who just concentrate mainly on some certain lines.
Right.
So my concentration is mostly on the HVAC side and Bosch. Of course, all boilers, Buderis.
Can't be good then.
Yes. Heat pumps, we make geothermal units, our gas furnace. This is our 96% gas furnace, BGH furnace, which is all now up to date. Everything is with the new regulations.
Now you guys are only high efficiency on the furnace side, not standard?
Everything high efficiency. There's a possibility of maybe coming back out with something 80% atmospheric, but right now we're 96%. All direct venting. You can do as little as a 2-inch pipe up to 60 feet on there.
Okay.
So, and very adaptable for a dual fuel system too. That's one thing that we push is, use that heat pumps, but use that existing heat that's in the house as a backup. All of our gas products come propane ready pretty much. So the furnaces, the kit comes with it, but it's easily matched up with any of our condensers, right? If you want to do a dual fuel and air conditioning also with that. Right. So you don't only have to use that furnace.
Now, can you explain dual fuel for the people listening right now?
Yeah, so a dual fuel setup is when you're going to leave the existing heat in the house, but you can use that really as the backup to the heat pump, right? So the heat pump will heat your house pretty much, 10 months out of the year pretty much, except for that January, February when it gets a little bit colder. Right. That's when you're going to need that existing heat in the house. So dual fuel you can set up with a thermostat that is all done automatically. You set your thermostat at 68, 70 degrees, and when it's over 40 degrees out, your heat pump will heat your house.
Now, what is a heat pump?
So a heat pump is
and now this
really
is this like this isn't a new thing to Long Island, but it's being pushed more in the last couple of years.
So everything made today is considered a cold climate heat pump,
yes.
Which means it will put out BTUs, which is the amount of heat it can produce in colder weather. Right. All right, older style back in the 70s, those heat pumps could not put out any BTUs below 40 degrees.
It's like the solar systems.
So they were just about, you should never put one in our area, right, in the Northeast where we are. Right. But all of these units now, these will work down to minus 4 degrees. Right. And they'll put out BTUs. They'll lose BTUs as it gets colder, but that what we call the shoulder months, right, between, say April to November, that heat pumps enough BTUs to keep up with the house. And it's no more than a central air system, right, an air conditioning system, which everybody's familiar with, but what we have is called a reversing valve in a heat pump. Right. So what it does in a heat pump mode, it just really runs in reverse. Right. So rather than it pulling the heat out of your house, it's pulling the heat into your house in simple terms, right?
That's one of the most frequently asked questions from people on social media is, or statements that, heat pumps are the best heat pumps, and they are great, but they're great. They're the best and most optimal working wise in shoulder months.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And there's still, high efficiency. So most of the stuff most of the equipment we're putting in our area, like the 20 SEER equipment, which even in AC world, that is a high-end piece of AC equipment. Yeah. And even on the heat pump side, we got a great reputation as a heat pump, but we're still a 20 SEER air conditioning system. And what people sometimes fail to realize is that they're going to save a lot of money on their AC too.
Absolutely.
So they're not only going to cut down a little bit on their gas bill, a little bit on their oil bill by having this heat through the shoulder months, but you'll be saving a lot of money in the AC season too. So across the board, it's an upgrade to your system no matter what you do.
Right. Now, could we talk about some of the reasons why it makes these systems are more efficient than, like, say, a standard conventional, 14 SEER, 15 SEER system?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of our condensers have compressors that are variable speed compressors. So our compressors actually speed up and slow down. Okay. And it's according to really the load in the house, how much heat's in the house, how cold it is in the house. So it never is going to use, it's only going to use, I should say, 100% of capacity when it needs to, right? So a standard air conditioning system that's built today is called a single stage. Right. And single stage means that every time that compressor runs, it runs at 100%. So there's no slowing it down until your house is satisfied. and it could lead to issues where
That's also why they get that loud surging when the unit turns on.
they'll see their lights dim in the house because that unit wants to go from 0 to 100% like right away.
Especially old.
So our inverter compressors, what we have in here, will always start at 1 RPM, very slow, very low amp draw. You know, we've seen less than 1 amp draw on the units on start, which is unheard of, right? A conventional unit can pull almost 3 times the amount of rated amps on startup.
Right.
And you could see that wears out parts, right? And motors that are always running 100%. So we have very little failure in our components because the fact that they always start slow, and then they're only going to ramp up to the amount as needed.
And that's where the efficiency comes in.
That is definitely where the efficiency needed.
Now, how do these systems know how to ramp up and how to ramp down?
So they're basically monitoring your indoor air, I should say, you know, the return air coming into the unit. And we're doing it, we do it non-communicating, right? So we don't have to have a communicating thermostat. You don't have to put our Bosch thermostat on our equipment. You can basically use anybody's equipment, but we really use the refrigerant itself, right? So the refrigerant's picking up heat in the house. So when that refrigerant comes out to the outdoor unit, we know what the pressure of that refrigerant is. And what we try to do is maintain that pressure. And the compressor just speeds up or slow down to maintain that pressure. So by doing that, we maintain a good indoor coil temperature. So we maintain a steady coil temperature, right? Where those single stage units don't really know what's going on in the house. And I'm sure every customer out there, they've had a clogged filter or something, or you guys go there, and what happens with a clogged filter? You get a frozen system. And you get a frozen system because that outdoor unit just knows to keep running at 100%. All right, whereas an inverter or any of our Bosch systems, you get a clogged filter, the outdoor unit's going to keep slowing down because it's saying, hey, my coil's cold enough
Something
already.
going on, I don't want to hurt
Yeah,
myself.
I don't need to cool this down anymore. It's already cold, and that's a perfect example of how we'll only use the amount of energy we need at any time. You know, even the condenser fan motor, right? We do have a fan motor on the top here. It's a 10-speed fan motor. Okay, so that just like the compressor, that fan only uses the amount of energy needed to keep the coil hot or cold in the summer or winter time. So at both times, we're, you know, the condenser outside, and your condenser is your big draw, right? When it comes to an AC system, you know, that SEER rating, you know, the higher the SEER rating, the less efficient, the more efficient the unit is, right? So the lower the SEER rating is you know,
Now,
cheaper.
Is there a study or any study that shows, like, say, a customer, so you have your 15 SEER product and your 20 SEER product. Is there any sort of documentation that would show? I mean, I understand every house is different, every homeowner is different, people like temperatures at 70
Yes.
times. Is there any sort of, where does the savings come in from that 15 to 20 SEER?
So basically, the savings is going to come through the motors that are in the equipment, right? The boards that are in the equipment, the way they run. Sometimes it's the size of the coil that's on the unit, right? In the past, we've gotten the higher the SEER, they put bigger coils in because the bigger coil could absorb more heat and then extract more heat and then
Which is
dump
also
more
a
heat.
give and take with homeowners, because some people don't want a huge condenser on the side. That's some people don't want.
Exactly. And then you know, again, the higher the SEER rating is going to be better motors in there, you know, more efficient motors. So that's where you will see your savings. It costs more up front for the higher SEER equipment, but down the road it's going to pay for itself, you know. And that's what sometimes you got to explain to customers sometimes, is that, you know, that savings isn't just to pay back how much that cost you. You know, that's what's going to happen the first couple of years, but then after that, that savings pays you,
Yes.
right? So you save $300 a year, you know, maybe it cost you an extra $1,000 to put that equipment in. So 3 years it pays you back, but hey, it's still paying you 10 years down the road.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Now, how as far as warranty on this product?
So warranty, Bosch stands by everything. You know, Bosch is a great company, right?
why
A
we do
big
it,
company.
yes,
10-year warranty on all our parts on everything.
Oh, even
all
the
right.
air handlers.
Yeah, even the air handler, the coils, any part that's in there. You know, we do recommend. Not insist, but you should register the equipment. You know, you register the equipment, then it goes. The registration will tell the date that you installed it. That's when the warranty starts. Yeah, if you don't register the equipment, it really becomes of when it came off the factory line.
Could have been
So
sitting on the shelf for 6 months.
exactly right. So you lose some time. One of the good things about really just even putting a heat pump in, right? A lot of times that can replace the regular central system that was there. We can utilize the same existing ductwork that's there, right? So it's an easy switch. Bosch really designed this stuff to become the replacement for that central air system that was already in the house. So we make a conventional air handler that's multiple position, right? It can go down flow and go up flow. You can lay it down on the left or you can lay it down on the right. So we've really made it, material wise, equipment wise, there's no expenses. Bosch builds good products that they stand behind. You will never see the Bosch name on something that's, low quality. We've had, contractors talk about our air handles. Hey, they're a little bit heavy. And my response back is it's heavy because it's made well.
Right.
It's made with good metal. You lay that down and it keeps its shape.
Right.
It's not a flimsy piece of equipment. All of our coils that are in all of our air handlers and even our cased coils, the minimum you're going to see is a 4-row coil. Right? They're aluminum coils, but they're also all coated. I don't know if you could see close up. If you look at any of the condenser coils, you'll see that blue color on them. Right? They're all coated. So it's not just a raw aluminum coil in there. Right? We have a copper tubing with aluminum coil, but then that aluminum coil is coated.
Now they're coated because it's out in the elements.
It's a powder coating on there, yeah, but we also coat our indoor coils too, which helps with mold and mildew and build up on stuff like that. It makes it easy to clean them down the road.
So that's what
We do. It's also one of the other things we've sold this equipment because the size of it, right? Our 3-ton unit, this is our 3-ton unit, which for a 20-seat 3-ton unit, that's tiny, right? That looks like some of the older style builder equipment, Our 5-ton is the same footprint, 29 by 29, but gets about 8 inches higher. So it's still, for a 5-ton, it's not bad at all.
Absolutely.
Even the Ultra on the end there, which is our, latest unit, we got that extra hood on there. That's basically the biggest condenser we sell. And that's not in today's standards of some, I know there's some competition out there. Their condenser is 36 inches by 36 inches by 54 inches high.
Oh.
All right, so that's something that's going to stand up this high. And on the side of your house, it starts to become obtrusive, So again, everything is, standardized. A lot of training. We do a lot of in-house training, right? As
Training in my shop.
at your shop, we did that. So we have a mobile unit that we can bring out,
Which is very
and
convenient for business owners.
and it makes my job as a lead tech and trainer that if I can get in front of guys and train guys, hey, they put in a better system for the customer, right? It goes in better. I get a lot less phone calls because
It keeps bad reviews away too.
absolutely.
Would you agree with the fact that, and I was talking to a customer yesterday about this, as far as reviews online about equipment, a lot of the review that are negative are installation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I said it all the time because, we sell 2 pieces of equipment that need to be assembled on the job site, right? So it's 2 pieces of equipment that you have to run the line set and, you gotta know what you're doing. This isn't something a homeowner can do themselves, right? And there are some cheaper brand ductless units out there. They're selling stuff online. Well, anything you're buying online, good luck trying to get a service.
Yeah.
I would not even back something. Don't call us, right? Because we're not going to do that. Or
We won't install stuff.
and even contractors. And I go on jobs all the time. I've been on jobs of Ryan Anthony work, and I see nice quality work, and I know that from 40 years in this business. I know what I'm looking at. I know a good job from a bad job, right? And I know that when I come to a job site for an issue, it's usually an issue, and it could be an equipment issue, it could be an install issue, right? But then we offer ourselves to come out and do that, as support to the contractors.
Now, what is your opinion on this type of equipment since it ramps up and ramps down as needed, as far as, because the other dilemma that we have as far as retrofitting, I guess, is basically what we're doing. We're taking the meat and potatoes of the system, we're changing the condenser, we're changing the air handler, running new lines, up to flushing the lines, but we're a lot of times hooking up to the existing ductwork. And when you go into a house and you don't know the house, or the homeowner doesn't really tell you exactly, hey, that room is colder than this room, or this room is too hot, or they're just not happy. Do you find that changing with your units is more of a, I don't want to say 100% fix, but a fix for houses like that? Or is it you're still going to have to address it down the line?
It's a good idea on any system that you reevaluate anything, right? Because there's central air systems that have been for 30 years.
Right.
So that just means the insulation on all that ductwork is 30 years old also, right? You could have joints in there that are leaking, right? So sometimes a good visual inspection is good to do.
Right.
But but then definitely proper transition work, right? When you're putting in a new air handler to an existing set of ductwork, you know, you want to make sure that that tin work is done nice and neat, all of that stuff is nice and insulated, and that the unit is sized properly for the house. That's very important too.
How often do you find that?
We find that a lot of people oversizing equipment, or sometimes a customer wants to put a bigger system in their house, right, than they had, because maybe they added a room on. Well, when they do something like that, they really should change the main trunk. It definitely should be changed.
That's actually a good question. Now, because since your system ramps up and ramps down, it would be probably less of an issue if it was a little oversized, or is that false?
Exactly right. So we'll do that. Again, airflow though, you want to have the ductwork should be able to carry the airflow that air handler puts out.
Absolutely.
All right. If it's too small, you're going to get noisy
Now,
units.
will that fan up in the attic in your air handler also slow down with the condenser?
So no. So what we do have is we have it's a two-stage system.
Okay.
So it's a 5-speed blower, but you program basically 2 of the speeds to work with the system.
Okay, got it.
So it also becomes efficient too, because when your thermostat comes on, it stays in the lower speed. If it satisfies the temperature in your house, it turns back off and it's done. If it can't keep up, the thermostat will kick in that second speed and push more air around the house to help satisfy it. So again, that becomes very more efficient,
Right.
because we're using 2 different speeds.
And now we want these systems to, you know, a lot of times people turn on their air conditioning and it's running a long time and they think that, you know, their efficiency out the window is costing a lot of money, but the runtime, just like kind of on a boiler runtime, you want these things to run and ramp up slowly. This way you're more comfortable.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things with the inverter technology, is that we're going to run longer cycles, but we're going to use a whole lot less electricity. So compared to that single stage unit that every time it turns on, it's going to run 100%, right? So maybe it does turn on, but what it's doing, it's turning on 100%, it's bringing the temperature down in your house, and it's turning right off.
You're feeling cold.
When a unit does turn off, you don't get no more dehumidifying, right? Because the fan's got to be running. So by using an inverter, we keep the coil at kind of a little warmer temperature, but we run the unit longer. So the longer the unit runs, the better it can dehumidify the house. So, and we're going to use less electricity.
Right.
So you should really get away from that thought of, you know, I hear it running, it's costing me money. Just, we're going to run longer cycles and be more comfortable in the house. Also, as that air is circulating the air in your house. Right. Plus, you got a good filtration system on the top. Yeah. What else are you doing? You're cleaning the air too, right? There's a lot of products out there, nice, you know, whole house filters. I recommend them. You know, if you're having a system upgraded, don't just go for that little 1-inch throwaway filter up in the attic. You know, have your contractor put in a nice whole house filter. They only have to be changed twice a year. Right. You know, they're a little more expensive, but you know what? It's good to have. You know, and it's you know, with the environment, everything out there today, it's, you know, kids with allergies, you know, you got some little kids, it's like you got to be careful of everything right now.
You don't say the C word, the COVID word.
Yeah, exactly.
But after that, a lot of things have changed.
My own house, I put them in my house, my daughter's house. We put UV lights in, you know, to help with the coils and stuff. But yeah, it's the equipment's been, you know, my 9 years here at Platsky, right. The equipment's been great.
9 years?
It's 9 years already. Wow. Yeah, this will be my ninth summer coming up.
So now you must know you like 11 or 12 years.
Yeah.
Because, maybe more. Because just for the background, Bruce used to be the service manager of Romanelli & Son. Romanelli & Son was one of the first companies I started doing subcontracting work for. And then basically Romanelli sold in 17, right?
Yeah, right around there.
Carrillo was 16.
And that's when I started here.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I started.
You tried Burt's for a little bit, but
I worked out there for a little bit. Yeah.
Not that it's a great company. No, it's funny. Marty's son actually reached out to him about a water here yesterday.
Oh, is that right?
It's so fun. Yeah, so it's good. But that's why I deal with Bosch is basically because I have a relationship with you, which is what I always tell the customers is, you know, I deal with people that I know that when there's a problem, not if there's a problem, there's someone here that I can call and help us. And that's very important to us, and that's why we use Bosch.
Yeah, I try to, you know, and I'll tell customers that too. I come out to customer's house. If there's an issue with the equipment, we no problem coming out. But it's very important that you have, you know, there's 3 people in that puzzle, right? You have a good company to install your equipment. Right. You have a good company that you're buying the equipment from too, right? A wholesaler who's going to stand behind it and help you out when you need something, right? But then you also got a great rep in the area that's also going to help keep it all together, right? And then we're the manufacturer's rep. We're here. We're marketing the equipment, but we do a ton of training, and we pride ourselves on support. I mean, we really do. We never, you know, we never don't answer the phone, you know what I mean? And I get complimented on that all the time. You know, thanks for picking up the call, right? Thanks for taking the
You're also
call.
part of the reason why the air conditioning side of Platsky kind of is, right? Not saying,
Yeah.
you don't want to take all the credit, I know you're a modest guy, but you helped build this.
I started here when
That
Bosch
years ago.
went into the HVAC business. That's when I was hired here. I was hired here as the HVAC tech.
Right.
We already had a boiler tech, and my partner Tim, who you know well.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
We've been doing boilers here, I think, over 12 years or 13 years now on the boiler side for Bosch.
Right.
We started with Bosch, Buderus, right?
remember the
I
Buderus.
installed a bunch of,
Acme Racel.
yep, bunch of Buderus oil boilers, and I kind of started in the oil business, but then converted to becoming the AC guy at the oil company. That's what I was. So, and now working with Bosch has been great. Working for Platsky has been great. You know, great company. They give us all the tools we need to help you guys out and support you guys and the wholesalers. So I think it's always a good team, good contractors, you know, good wholesalers, and you know, it's a great business. Everybody sticks together.
It's
We
a
all.
small industry.
It's very small industry.
And
Yeah.
the good guys stick together.
Yeah. Don't burn any bridges.
No. That's one of my number 7 I put on my list to the kids.
Yeah,
The 10 things,
absolutely.
don't burn a bridge.
Yeah, and I know you. I pride you guys, and I what you do with the youth is unbelievable, right? Because I feel that now at my age,
Right.
I'm like, the only thing I really do is I give back to the next generation of guys. And first thing I tell guys all the time, I hope you're not doing this as a temporary job.
Right.
This is a great job, right? It's a good. You live on Long Island, one of the most expensive places to live in the United States, right?
Work.
But if you're an HVAC guy, you know what? You can live here.
Yeah.
You can afford to live here, and you can live pretty good. You know, if you do the right thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically do the right thing. That's what we're trying to cram in everybody's heads.
Yeah.
Which isn't hard, but it can be. You
Yeah.
just need discipline. So. But thank you.
Well, good, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah.